The tragic cases of Rori Hache and Kandis Fitzpatrick, lessons on vulnerability and justice. The city of Oshawa, Ontario, was shaken by the disappearances and subsequent murders of two young women, Rori Hache and Kandis Fitzpatrick. Their cases, spanning nearly a decade apart, highlight the vulnerabilities faced by marginalized individuals and the persistent efforts required to bring justice. This essay examines the tragic circumstances surrounding their deaths, the forensic breakthroughs that led to their discovery, and the broader implications of their case on law enforcement and society. In 2008, 18-year-old Kandis Fitzpatrick went missing from Oshawa, Ontario. She was known to have struggled with addiction and lived a transient lifestyle, factors that often contributed to the lack of immediate public and media attention when she vanished. Her family, though deeply concerned, faced an uphill battle in getting her case prioritized by authorities. Without strong leads or a concrete timeline of her disappearance, the investigation stalled, leaving her family with unanswered questions for nearly a decade. Kandis' case is one of many that highlight the disproportionate attention given to missing persons based on socioeconomic factors. Victims with troubled pasts or unstable lifestyles often receive less urgency in police investigations. This systemic failure contributed to the lack of resolution in Kandis' case for many years, leaving her loved ones in a perpetual state of uncertainty and grief. Her story is not an isolated one. Failure to prioritize cases involving individuals with troubled lives reflects a broader societal failure to value all lives equally. Advocacy groups have long called for training law enforcement officers to prevent personal bias from shaping their perceptions of victims and influencers determining the pace of investigations. Unlike Kandis, Rori Hache's case took a more public and horrifying turn. Rori was an 18-year-old with a bright personality and strong community ties. She was last seen in August 2017, and her disappearance quickly raised concerns among those who knew her. Just a month later, a gruesome discovery was made. A dismembered female torso was found floating in Oshawa Harbor. DNA testing confirmed that the remains belonged to Rori, turning what was initially a missing person case into a homicide investigation. This grim discovery set off an extensive police effort to track down Rori's killer. Unlike Kandis' case, the presence of physical evidence meant that investigators had a starting point. The brutality of the crime also garnered significant media attention, increasing public pressure on law enforcement to find the perpetrator. The intensity of the investigation into Rori's case highlights the stark contrast in how society and the media react to cases involving individuals with strong community ties versus those whose lifestyles may fall outside societal norms. Questions arise about whether the resources poured into solving Rori's case would have materialized as quickly for someone with fewer social or familial connections. In December 2017, a significant breakthrough occurred when a landlord reported plumbing issues at a basement apartment in Oshawa. The tenant, Adam Strong, was found to have human remains clogging his pipes. This led police to search his home, where they discovered more dismembered body parts, including remains from both Rori Hache and Kandis Fitzpatrick. Adam Strong, a 47-year-old man with a deeply disturbing history, was immediately arrested. His residence was soon revealed to be a scene of unimaginable horror, containing evidence of the gruesome fate suffered by both women. Investigators found blood evidence, forensic materials linking Strong to the murders, and disturbing internet search histories that suggested a fascination with violence. The horrifying discovery of Kandis Fitzpatrick's remains years after her disappearance brought bittersweet closure to her family. However, for many, it raised excruciating questions about why it took Rori's murder to unearth evidence about Kandis's fate. Strong's basement apartment soon became the focal point of a criminal investigation that would expose chilling new revelations about his psyche. Interviews and analysis of his online activities painted the picture of a predator who actively sought out vulnerable victims. Strong's arrest led to one of Oshawa's most chilling murder trials. Prosecutors presented compelling forensic evidence, including DNA analysis and crime scene investigations that directly linked him to the deaths of both women. While Strong was convicted of first-degree murder in Rori Hache's case, his charge in Kandis Fitzpatrick's case was downgraded to manslaughter due to the lack of concrete forensic evidence proving premeditation. Throughout the trial, Strong displayed a shocking lack of remorse, often appearing indifferent to the proceedings. His conduct, marked by an air of detachment and refusal to take responsibility, exacerbated the pain suffered by the victims' families. His chilling courtroom demeanor, coupled with disturbing details of his crimes, heightened public outrage and re-emphasized the importance of justice for these two young women. In 2021, Strong was sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole for 25 years. While the sentence ensures he cannot harm others, the outcomes left lingering questions about disparities in the treatment of the two cases. Legal experts note that stronger investigative resources and earlier forensic breakthroughs could have potentially secured a harsher conviction in Kandis Fitzpatrick's case. The resolution of both cases underscores the critical importance of forensic technology in modern investigations. From the dismembered torso discovered in Oshawa Harbor to the human remains found in Strong's apartment, meticulous forensic work tied the murders to their perpetrator. Advancements in DNA technology were instrumental in confirming the identities of both victims, offering crucial leads to investigators. This highlights how scientific breakthroughs can achieve justice even when traditional detective work proves insufficient or delayed by systemic bias. However, the reliance on forensic breakthroughs also raises questions about proactive approaches to missing persons cases. Advocates argue that better preventive measures rather than reactive responses after heinous crimes are committed should form the bedrock of modern law enforcement. The tragic fates of Rori Hache and Kandis Fitzpatrick underscore systemic failures in handling missing persons cases, particularly among marginalized individuals. Kandis's case in particular highlights how vulnerable populations, those struggling with addiction or homelessness, are often overlooked in criminal investigations. It took the high-profile murder of Rori Hache for Kandis's case to receive the attention it deserved. This disparity forces a critical reckoning. How do societal prejudices shape which victims are considered worthy of help? The justice and safety of all individuals, regardless of their circumstances or choices, must be at the forefront of public safety endeavors. Advocacy groups continue to call for reform in how missing persons investigations are classified and pursued. Recognizing biases, allocating resources proportionally, and treating every case with urgency should become standard practices in law enforcement to prevent similar oversights in the future. The recurring theme of violence against women in these cases, a reality faced disproportionately by those in vulnerable circumstances, cannot be ignored. The murders of Rori and Kandis bring into sharp focus the dangers that can lurk in seemingly safe environments. Women facing socioeconomic hardships, including addiction or displacement, are particularly susceptible to predatory behaviors. Both advocacy campaigns and law enforcement can work together to address this crisis. Initiatives focusing on educating communities, providing shelters and resources for at-risk women, and conducting public awareness campaigns about predatory behaviors can help build protective networks for potential victims. The tragic murders of Rori Hache and Kandis Fitzpatrick remain a sobering reminder of the violence that continues to plague society. Their stories are not just about the horrific crimes committed against them, but also about the resilience of their families and the tireless fight for justice. By remembering their lives and learning from their stories, we honor their legacies and turn their tragedies into opportunities for transformation. Their names must not be forgotten, and their cases should serve as a wake-up call for improved law enforcement practices and greater societal awareness of the risks faced by vulnerable individuals. The justice secured in their cases, while significant, is just the beginning. Preventing similar tragedies will require systemic changes, from addressing the inequities in our justice system to providing more robust protections for at-risk individuals. Only through a collective effort can we ensure that no family endures such unimaginable loss again.